Hi, my name is Chris Riley. I live in Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm 29 years old. And I wanted to share with you a story from when I was a teenager that I think goes right along with the It Gets Better project. I was 16 and I was working for Kmart. It was my first real job, and I had just gotten hired right in the beginning of November, which was when my 16th birthday was. And at this point, when this story happened, it was 2 weeks before Christmas, so I'd been there about a month. And I was working as a cashier, and there was about 20 registers open, and I was about the 10th one in, so I was right in the center of all my coworkers and all of the traffic from the people in the store that were checking out. And it was very, very busy because back then Kmart was really popular, and especially right before Christmas and right before closing. We were right towards the evening time, and a lot of people were trying to get their stuff and get out of the store. Well, I looked up and there was a guy in line, and he was giving me a real mean look, and I knew something was going to happen with him. I just felt it, but I kept ringing up the other people. He got up to me, I rang up his items, and I put them in a bag, and I told him his total. And he reached into his pocket, pulled out his wallet, got out some cash, and I held out my hand. Nothing happened. He would not put the money in my hand. So I put my hand down along my side and just stood there giving him a look, kind of like a curious look as to, okay, what are we doing here? And at that point in time, he took the money and he threw it at me. Well, it bounced off me, obviously, and it landed on the counter. So I just picked it up, turned to the register, went ahead and rung his order up, got his change and his receipt, and went to hand it to him. Refused to take it. So I put his money down on the counter, and I put my hand down along my side, and he reached over and he snatched the cash off the countertop, and he started to storm off. Well, before he could totally clear my area, he screamed at the top of his lungs, "I'm so glad to be out of that little faggot's line." Well, as you can imagine, I was completely shocked. I was standing here amongst a ton of strangers, all these new coworkers, and I felt nothing but embarrassed. Not to have been outed like that when I wasn't even out at that point in time, but just how cruel he was, and that it happened in front of everyone. And everybody in the front of that store was as silent as they could be. You didn't even hear any sounds. That old saying that you could hear a pin drop, yeah, you could have heard a pin drop. No one was talking. Everyone got quiet. The registers stopped making their noises. Everyone just froze. And they were all looking at him, and then of course looking at me, because they knew that it was me he was talking to. Well, I didn't know what to do, so I turned around, and I just started ringing up the next person, trying to just get on with it and get past it. And it was a little old lady, and she had a couple items, and I started ringing her up. I didn't even say hello to her or anything. I just went right about my job, because I was trying to stay strong and not get emotional. And she looked at me and she said, "Honey, it's men like that that make this world the world that it is today." She said, "Don't you dare feel bad about being who you are. Don't let him win." So I kept on going the rest of the night, stayed very strong, and then it was time to go home. So I drove home and I stayed calm, very strong. I got to my house and I was really hoping that my mom wasn't still awake, because I did not want to have to talk about anything. I wanted to go make it to my room and get emotional on my own. I opened up the front door. My mom's sitting there on the couch looking right at me, and she knew that I was upset. She could just look at my face. And she wanted to talk about it. I ran past her as fast as I could, up the stairs to my room, slammed the door, and then just fell apart. Crying, sobbing. I was having a hard time breathing. It felt so horrible. And she came in and she tried to comfort me and talk to me about it, but I had a real hard time talking with her because she didn't understand what I was going through. And a lot of adults didn't at that point. But I did talk to different people in the days after that that really did help me to see that there was nothing I could have done to prevent it. It wasn't my fault, and there's nothing wrong with me being the person that I am. I know sometimes it's hard to talk to adults, or to listen to them for that matter, especially when they're always saying, well, I was a teenager once, and they try to explain to you what they went through when they were kids. Now, being this age and being 12 years out of school, I can look back and I realize now that when my mom would say that to me, she really did go through a lot of similar things that we go through just in general as being teenagers. She didn't have an understanding of what it was like to be gay and to be outed in front of a group of strangers like that by just some mean man. But she did understand what it was like to be treated like a nobody from being a teenager. And that part was a little easier, but then not having her understand where I was coming from specifically was hard. But there are a lot of adults out there that do actually have experience with going through what you're going through and being gay, and especially back in the day, it was not nearly as easy to be a gay person in school as it is these days. We didn't have the, LGBT organizations within school where you could meet with the other students and stuff. You didn't really know. And if you did know about somebody else, it was more like a secret, and no one really was out. You just pretended to be what everybody wanted you to be, the social norm. Now you have a little bit more of a leg up, but that doesn't mean that it's any easier. It's still hard. It's still hard coming to grips with who you are and not having the support that you need when you're in school. And school age can be so cruel. And I just want you to know that now I'm almost 30. I'll be 30 this November. Yuck. But I really am in a happy place with my life. Like, I wouldn't give up where I am now for all the money in the world, that I made it through. It's amazing. You meet people once you get out of high school. You go your own way. You learn that there are lots of diverse people that you're going to come across that you may not have ever realized existed, and that are going to be accepting of you and love you for who you are. And as a teenager, it's hard because you're forced to be in school with all these kids, the same people that can make it really hard for you to even want to go to school. You're stuck around the same groups of people, like your family, their friends, so on and so forth, that might not be very understanding of you either. But once you are out of the nest, so to speak, and you grow your own wings, you'll be amazed at how happy you'll become when you find your place in this world. And it's up to you to find it. And you will find it, but you have to just get through being a teenager and get through school to get to that place. It's like passing a test. You have to live through it in order to pass. And that means getting help when you know that you're at your wit's end, that you just don't think that you can do it on your own anymore. And if you're feeling like that, or you're feeling that hurt and that low and that alone, that you're starting to consider what the world would be like without you, then I ask that you please call 1-866-4U-TREVOR. That's 866-488-7386. They are people who are trained to help you and that have heard it all before. So nothing that you're going to say is really going to surprise them. You don't have to be embarrassed to talk to them. They understand that it is how it is, that this is just where people get sometimes. But they want you to get past it and not do anything that you would regret and that your family and friends would regret you doing. So realize that you're going to have to go through some rough times, but it will get better. And that will happen faster than you realize. I can't even believe that I'm almost as old as I am this year, because, believe it or not, 12 years ago seems like yesterday to me. I feel like I was still in high school. Though I don't want to be back there again. It still feels like that's very fresh to me. And it will for you too. 12 years will go by very quickly, and you'll look back and be very thankful that you're still here, and that you've gotten to meet the people that you've gotten to meet, and love the people that you've gotten to love. And my wish for you is that you allow that to happen, and that you stay strong, and that you seek the support that's out there for you. And watching these videos with the It Gets Better Project, as a start, but reach out and talk to actual people. Everyone talks on the internet these days. There's lots of support groups, there's chat rooms. People, like I said, you might have organizations at your school or in your community. Reach out. There's a lot of people there, and there's a lot for you to learn. Good luck, everybody. I hope to see your videos on here someday, too.